Hello guys, welcome to the Train Parrot and to another episode of the live TA for elite members. In this live stream, we're gonna do some things different, guys. We are streaming into Patreon, we're streaming into YouTube as well. So if you are part of our Patreon community, you are already being able to see this live stream. There's a separate UI interface. You can see it very nicely if you are using desktop computer. If you are using a mobile phone, I suggest that you just tilt it in landscape so you can see the full stream. You can see the questions there coming in. It's really nice to have you guys. This TA live stream is something that we do once a week on Thursdays at 12 p.m. UK time. And next week we should be doing PineScript, or maybe we're gonna do another TA live stream. On Monday we will send you a poll so you decide which one you prefer for next week. But this week we have plenty of selection of altcoins that we need to review in the next 1 hour. If you're watching this live, if you're watching the recording on Friday, I remind you that you can join these live streams by being part of the community. You need an elite subscription, or you can also watch it using the YouTube membership. Today we're going to be looking into HBAR, Zora, AAVE, Hype, XRP, SEI, Ethereum, SUI, Solana, APT. And I remind you guys, you added a bunch of coins in here, but no one voted for them. They need a minimum of 1 vote to be able to compete with the rest, and so I cover them during the next hour. I'm going to start with HBAR. HBAR is going to be the most in-depth coin that I'm going to cover. It got 6 votes, so I'll go straight into that chart. Let me know in the comments via Patreon if you can see all the detail, all the numbers. If anything is not good enough, just let me know. I know some people are mobile, it's not as good, so try to use a desktop computer if that's the case. Let's have a look at HBAR. So HBAR had a double bottom formation, Hedera hash graph, and it broke out and it met the full technical target. That's pretty good, but then it peaked with the rest of the market. Can we remove the join my Patreon, Jose, from the screen? And then it broke back below the neckline, and that is kind of a bad thing, right? Because we ended up putting even a low at 0.07. That is something that affected XRP as well. XRP I typically associated with HBAR because they tend to do very similar things. Let me have a look at the XRP chart. Yeah, it looks pretty much the same, right? We have the double bottom, the breakout, although the technical target of XRP was slightly higher. It was supposed to get to 4.4. That's thanks that XRP went to 1.6. Whereas if we go with HBAR, on HBAR, you can see that this didn't have that weak to the downside. That's why it managed to do the technical target. But this affected the whole market. So this is not something necessarily calling for weakness on the technical of this. It's just affecting all the market. And I will say that since we are defending the 17 cents, that is currently something kind of more positive than if we put a closing price on a weekly basis below the level of 13. That will be even worse. Let's go into the longs versus shorts on this particular one. As you can see, we are in an area where we have already pierced the percentile of 42. So there's tons of longs that got decimated in here. This started from around November that we are losing longs on HBAR. There was already a collapse into April. Then they came back to a lower high, and from that lower high around the percentile high, it came back here. It's actually going for the lower level for 32. So I will say that definitely this has had a very bad journey in here, and it's already into almost bear market levels, actually getting closer to the lowest levels that it can be. So if you're looking for a long around these times, you are in a non-overcrowded space. There is something ongoing in here with some additional moves on the social dominance, which is probably something that is attracting maybe some news around HBAR. Probably XRP's positiveness is also spilling into HBAR and getting part of that in there. On the weekly, it doesn't look that healthy. So first of all, this happened to almost every coin, but HBAR pinched this level, and that happened this week on the candle settle. Now we are pointing down, and it will be really bullish if this guy can reclaim this like that. That's a bullish setup that I really like. That is kind of the fake out setup. So if the whole market rebounds to the upside, HBAR can do this. With this candle that is pointing down, it can actually end up closing back up. For that, we need around 44, 45 on the weekly. Let's see what the price is. Let's do a band, 44 to 45, and that pretty much means we need to close the weekly above 18 to around 18 to 18.3. That's kind of the range range where we need to close the weekly to turn all of this into potentially a V recovery. After that, we have resistance at 20, which we already broke above, but everything kind of spoiled. This was supposed to be a bullish pattern. So this sort of formation there, it just ended up breaking to the downside, breaking bearish from a bullish pattern. So I feel like HBAR was meant to do what XRP was supposed to do as well, right? Which had a small flag that was meant to break to the upside, but everything in the whole market did the same thing. So now we need to look for patterns of recovery in case in November we see some upside that can, bring everything together up. There is a chance that we do that. Of course, we do not want Bitcoin to break below 100K and stay there for too long, because that will confirm a lot of bias towards bear market end of the cycle, and it can definitely be bad for HBAR too. Let me see if I can find liquidity in here. I'm pretty sure I need to go for this version, not this one, this one. Oh wow, there is a lot of short positions around here. So this from 25 cents to 30 cents, very close proximity, because unfortunately we don't have trading different. Let me confirm that, because maybe they added recently. Oh wow, amazing. We have HBAR first time. Well, I didn't remember where we have them. And the first liquidity, this is much better quality than using CoinGlass. So here we have a liquidity pool at 26. Let's put that red out of the screen so we can just focus on these levels. Yeah, there you go. 26, 28, and 31 are the centers of the liquidity to the upside. There's a lot of people shorting, and you can tell there were tons of people longing the, what is it called? The wedge, the ascending wedge, and it puked to the downside. So all of these people got liquidated right there. And yeah, let me see if I can, let's remove all these drawings. Let's do a new one. So many coins were doing something like this. Let's make it thicker and white. And this was the trade, right? So the falling wedge, and it puked to the downside, and many coins turned that now into a parallel channel. So I've seen that a lot of times with many coins. So we are at the bottom of a parallel channel, and if we can get the daily to produce this triple bottom in there and hold it, not break 16 cents. What was 16 cents? So was it support on the daily before? It was resistance around here, the 16, before the breakout to 30. So now it's holding that one. So that's a good thing. And we are having already some bullish divergences on the daily here, and we could be facing the resistance of 45. At that point, probably we are trading at 18 cents, and we need to watch out for what happens post that. But really, the party of liquidity is at the moment on the upside. Going to bear market like this after you already took all the liquidity up until 79, it's really, really crazy to think that is possible. So I'm inclined to think that we first need to go there. That's my current bias for HBAR. Let's go with the next one, which is ENA. Let's look at this in the weekly. Tons of you are trading ENA. I wonder if you're invested on ENA or if this is just for scalping or swing trades. Right. So we went for the handle of the cap, for the extended one. So this is a cap and handle that I wanted to hold around the 55. We didn't, and we extended to 42. So is this going to end up being a double bottom and going back to 24? I hope not. We are currently reclaiming the 42, and we need to go all the way to 78 to complete the handle. That could take a while. In here, if we project this at this speed, we should get to 78 by 22nd of December. So it's not that I'm forecasting that. I'm trying to measure in time if it makes sense in terms of time to arrive there at that point and then still rally into February. The previous cycle, some coins, not all of them, were pumping post 2021 into 2022, which is part of the bear market already. And that could be the case of some coins. I don't know about ENA because it was listed in 2024, so we don't have a history to know whether this is an early top cycle peak coin or if it's going to be a later one. But so far we are holding the 24. We are potentially building some support at 41. That was the neck in here. So it's something similar to HBAR. Hopefully it can build that full pattern because that has a target into 134. And then if we complete the full double bottom of all the history of ENA, then we get the target of 232 along with the extension of 1 of Fibonacci, which is coinciding with this 134, and the golden pocket, it's around here at $2, but the actual technical target is 230.34. So on this one, definitely I'm not gonna find it in trading different. Let's look in here. So yeah, this just the same as all the other coins. It took all the range of liquidity, at least on Binance. This is on Binance at the moment. Sorry, this is combining all exchanges. If I go to pair, I can select exchanges. So symbol is kind of an average of liquidity across exchanges, I believe. And in the past 3 months on Binance, it went pretty much all the range down almost to zero. So we have swept all the liquidity up until there. We are trading at 0.5 and we got one bucket at 72 and one at 80 cents. So those are the close proximity liquidity that is roughly around the neck of the cup and handle. So hopefully if we get there, that's not another rejection down. And instead of that, we should be getting a breakout. Notice that some cup and handles do something like this, and then they don't break out, and then they do this. So that is another pattern, right? So that will match with being a triangle. So you don't have necessarily to break out there. So that's why do not rush. Typically, when you get wicks only outside the neckline, they are liquidity hands that push you to produce the triangle. If you get in here the full candle close and then you get to fail the neckline and to go back below the neckline, that is a disaster. Why? Because the neckline already broken with a body of a candle brings a lot of more traders, including the ones that want full confirmation with candle close. That means more volume trapped. More volume trapped, it means that they can drag you even lower and to crash you. So I tend to see more often candle close being squashed massively to the downside. Let's go with Zora USDT. I hope that explanation makes sense. And for some reason, my eyes are black again. I don't know, maybe with more brightness. People are getting freaked out, and instead of commenting the TA, they're commenting how scary it is to see black eyes. It's just because it's replacing green. I don't have green eyes, but somehow the pattern is replacing my eyes with black. Anyways, Zora, where are we in here? I'm interested to do some Fibonacci's on this. We don't have much history, so let's hope I put this in the right way. So from bottom to top, sorry, from here to here. So this collapsed all the way here, and it came into the golden pocket 050618, and it hasn't been able to put a candle close inside the golden pocket. That will be great for continuation. When you retrace and you do a pullback and you come back like this and you get rejected by 0.5, is mild bullish. If you enter into 0.618, is a bit more bullish. Obviously, beyond that point, you're very close to a V recovery. We could also do it with a body like this, and then we will say, yeah, that's bullish. But since there's so much distribution with the weeks that I want to take them into account, there's already 3 weeks in a row that the people are distributing. With this bounce back up of Bitcoin, I'm also seeing on the weekly these weeks, those are distributive, and on the monthly, and they are translating into what some other coins are doing, which is a bit bearish, to be honest. If you see the weekly close in 0.1, which is also, psychological resistance, here is your support. It's 0.10612, and it's already rejecting the price multiple times, 3 weeks in a row. And if this fails, then you can do, an extension of 1 to the downside, maybe. So from top to bottom to the highest point. So the extension of 1 sends you back to the previous range. So use proper risk management if you are already allocated in profit, because this can fall pretty big. It's got the potential, right? It's not my forecast that we are going that low. It's just for you to manage it. I suspect that on the daily we have a breakout in here, and we already had it. So it's this breakout in here that broke out there. It got a lot of early longs squash, and then it kind of came back for a layer 2. That's what I mean by layer 2. So that breakout is the layer 2, the retest, and then going back up into 69. And it's on the daily. This guy is a little bit at the edge of the cliff for the first line of defense. The most bullish one is holding so far. So at 56, where the price is pretty much precisely, needs to hold. You need to defend the 86 to 88 area. That's kind of a must. Let's go into here. Let's see if we can catch some liquidity. Morning, Smiley. Morning, Crypto Whale. And I didn't put the chat on YouTube. Yes, we do have chat on YouTube. Let me see. While this is charging, we have hey. The black eyes are the best. Yeah, it is freaky though, but I only see it's happening when the images on your screen are in the white background. Yes, probably because this is green and what I have in front. Oh, there is no 3 months. Okay, that's fair enough. Let's go with 1 month. So yeah, so this should hold, as I say, the 88, and we got here some pending liquidity. The biggest one is at 89, but if it stretches to a new low into 84 at most, that's it. That is the support that we need to hold. So that if you're planning to enter, if you haven't entered, I will be looking for that, but I don't like that much the setup for me for a scalp. No, that's the biggest risk I will take in here, to enter from 84, and if it doesn't go there, I don't touch this, because from 89 it can just puke so low with the extension of 1. If Bitcoin pukes, that the volatility on a coin that I've never heard before, it's definitely not my cup of tea. In terms of longs and shorts, Zora is at 47, so it's around the same amount of longs that there were here when there was really no one believing that it was going to do something. Remember that it broke out here and it put a big new low. It squashed the longs with 53% downside before doing a layer 2. So that sort of volatility is the one that you need to be absolutely prepared if you are willing to take the risk to take longs at the range of 90. So this was resistance. Now let's turn that into support. But if it fails, it can put a low that at the very least is 55% from where you are. So your first order right there needs to be absolutely ready to average down at 50% lower. So if you're thinking to average down on this coin 2% or 3% below, are you crazy? Then you run out of cash very quickly, and then all the DCA orders to the downside are smashed. Yeah, that is what I'm trying to tell you. Right, let's go to next one. We got AAVE. Remember that these guys are changing by the time, so you can add more coins. You can vote for, you have 5 hearts per week, so distribute them accordingly to what you want. And I'm gonna keep checking if I'm missing something. Look, I didn't do hype, so that got a lot of votes. I will do it, fair enough. Don't cheat, okay? Don't put votes in one and then change them to the other one to get all of yours. Be a nice guys. Come on, cheating is not nice. Hype had a head and shoulder in here, which, whoa, yeah, play out perfectly well. Not like Bitcoin ones that haven't been playing out this cycle. Yeah, this one went way beyond the technical target. It was supposed to be 24 and it went to 21. And we turned this into resistance, and we are holding the lows of 35. We're trying to form a double bottom in here, and we could say that is breaking out. I'm gonna give it a little bit of bullishness to hype. Why? Because there's a point of control around here with this, and we are breaking above it. So let's hold at 38, and let's go for the technical target of the head and shoulder, and let's see if it can achieve 42. So that double bottom has enough strength in theory to get you back above the neckline of the head and shoulders that you just lost. And if you can hold that with a candle close on the daily right there, you get a bigger pattern. But let's go back to the weekly. On the weekly, it's impossible to see that. On the weekly, it doesn't look that good, to be honest. So you get a chance that you can reclaim the neckline, but on the weekly, it looks a bit less possible, because you have this big red candle, you have an indecision one with a retest of the neckline already. You have 3 candles that are being bought up around here by speculators. The first one, the second, the third. So they are buying 35, and hopefully that is gonna go to the top of the range back up. Let me see this pattern. Yeah. So this widening patterns can be very bullish sometimes. I just don't want to give you hopium just for the sake of, oh, I found a bullish pattern, because there are some things that don't look really great. But this pattern, let's extend this, sometimes can do this, hold that, and then go way higher there. And I guess we can do, okay, if you allow me, this could be the biggest hopium ever, but I just want to give you the targets. Please don't count on these things. 71 and $103 is on the table if the widening pattern works for hype. Defend 35 like a dog with a bone. I'm not gonna do that, but you can imagine it. And on the daily breakdown, we're kind of putting bullish divergences in here, forming a larger double bottom. Getting into 53 will be fantastic to form that bullish pattern and then hit the highs. Let me see. You see the longs are into something here. They are increasing very sharply in this pattern. So they kind of believe 35 is the bottom and it should go back into the 83. But we are starting from 31. Now we are at 54. We have already moved a lot and we have lots of longs. Careful with lots of longs. When I say lots of longs, I don't mean it's something good. Sometimes too many longs, and most of the time too many longs is something to trade against, not with it, not with. Let's go with AAVE. Oh, wait a second. Hype, liquidity, and I think I have a few questions from Lara. I did a lot of good trades on both Hype and AAVE, but not buying any alts at this stage. Seems like asking for max pain. Yeah, exactly. Can watch both now. And also I got a question from Patreon that says, hello Mariano from America. Good morning. Did we enter in the long? Not on the last one. As I mentioned in the video that just went live, I didn't go in this long at the risk of missing out. I miss out a lot. I say that in the video. That's the way I keep the win rate high. But yeah, there's been some rally rallies that I haven't been part of, particularly when I go for holidays or something like that. I stay away from the charts, and then I miss the rallies that start within the holidays. Somehow Bitcoin likes to do that a lot to me. But anyway, here Hype has a lot of liquidity sitting at 34. So if we go to 34 and we put a new low relative to this double bottom, we break that bottom. And you can see how many longs enter right there at 35, as I was saying. So this confirms my speculation that longs are loading at 35, believing that turn into support. And they have now a case to state that this is a double bottom that's going to break from 40 and go into 47. Yeah, they have a case for that. But their risk is that they all get taken out by pushing into 33, maybe into 35, extending it and put a new low. Bitcoin will hold the last word. I think if Bitcoin also takes 100K, then consider these guys dead, all of them, and double bottom gone, and that not working out. And I'm being very straight because I want you to think about risk management. And please don't let your risk management be, no, that's not going to happen, because that's not risk management. As many people just turn the page and look somewhere else, and that's their risk management. I hope it's not one of you. And XRP made it also to the ranking from my two communities. Let's go to weekly because it's too messy. It's going to be very similar to HBAR. The only difference is that HBAR doesn't have this higher high, but the rest of the things are the same. We got a double bottom breakout. We talk about this area in here up until 29th of September was looking like a replica of the larger flag just placed there and already deflated because it couldn't achieve as much as this one did before. And I was not expecting this not to not go up. I don't touch XRP. XRP is poison to me. But I was bullish on this flag. It's a bullish flag, and it broke out, retest, and then it puked with the rest of the market all the way to not just the next low, which should have been 1.5, but it actually went to 1.2. So the problem with XRP is that if it really wants to go into bear market, it now needs to clear liquidity below that. And if that is too low and too close to previous range, even talking about, let's say we go into 118, those are the highs of 2021. Well, hopefully it's not going to trade ever again at 0.5. I'm not going to lie to you, but if it trades again at 0.5, I'm going to have the biggest laugh ever. And I don't care if that hurts anybody, because I say so many times I'm not touching XRP, and so many people laugh at me for doing that I'm going to have my revenge laugh. This pattern in here on the weekly, it's not bad, okay? Broke down in here, did the revenge rally with that smaller flag, came back down, test support. This is a bullish pattern, okay? And in the stream, we have already seen how many times this pattern doesn't play out. Pretty much every coin that did a flag to the downside with a triangle puke. So it can fail. I hope you keep that in your mind, in your memories, because not because it's a bullish pattern, it needs to break out to the upside. But if it does, right? If we use this incoming divergence, is it divergence? Yeah, it is. So it's a lower low for the RSI, higher high for the price. So there's a divergence. And if this pushes up finally for the flag, that by now is a parallel channel. Sorry, I'm doing everything in my mind, and then you have to believe me, because I'm trying to rush to get as many coins as possible so everybody goes home happy with some TA than, but maybe it's good quality rather than quantity. That is, again, now is a parallel channel. So XRP is not the exception. We need to hold 2.4, and we have an indecision candle right there. This is the biggest point of control. So hold to 4. Okay, don't be on the lower end of a point of control. That is the slippery area to go to the next range of 1.4 and start fooling around with the wick that we left there. We don't want that. We want to stay at 2.4. And if we have to really damage a little bit more of these XRP believers, let the flag get into $2. That's it. More than that, and it's not good. So when I mean by that is candle closes, right? Keep an eye on that. Wicks, yes, they are allowed. Close on the weekly above this, ideally above 2.4, to let this flag push to new highs. And remember, let's do some Fibonacci extension as well. That is going to be a funny one because the wick is so low. So extension of 1 now is 33, number to keep in mind. And the golden pocket is 4.5. That was the original target of the failed falling wedge. So let's delete that. But now it comes from a golden pocket. I don't know if we can do golden pocket, guys, but feel free to think whatever you want. But I think I will go with the 3.3 personally for the remaining part of the cycle. If we go to 4.5 to 10 or to $10 million XRP, so be it. I won't believe in Santa Claus. It's too early in the morning for that. Let's go with the rest. XRP. Did I do AAVE? If someone can tell me, did I do AAVE? I don't think I did. Let me see. Maybe my visual memory is better than my naming memory. No, we didn't. Okay. So I was really bullish on AAVE. AAVE up until we started forming this double top with a target negative. And let's see what we've done in here. We are at the lows of the range on the RSI. The RSI is holding 41 relative to 37 is a higher low. Longs are in hell where they never been. They're at 32 below the lowest percentile in history on the weekly. So, come on, this should eventually push up, right? I hope so. It needs to reclaim 36 here. It's never been so little longs on AAVE. What's going on? And I don't blame them because the pattern doesn't look good. Let's see. Okay, I got that order block there, 242. I got this one at 315. Yeah, I believe in 242 and we lost it. And it's no longer the pattern like this. It's more like a bearish pattern. So let's remove all of that. This was achieved when I was bullish. I published some videos around here talking about going into $300 and $400. You can search for them. And we did it. I didn't point to 500 millions like most influencers. I point to this and we did it. Now we came for a new low and a higher low. So we got a bullish divergence on the weekly. We got this bearish pattern that is breaking, that it confirmed a breakdown. The delta of longs shorts is triggering a signal, the only one we have in history on AAVE, saying no, we have to go up. There cannot be less, or we are too overextended in amount of shorts at the moment. So they could get squashed. I want to see liquidity. Where are those shorts? Where are those bastards? And let's see 3 months. There has to be some damage we can do today, guys. Okay, so if we go really 300 into 330, that number resonates. Didn't I say 330? Yeah, extension of 1 is 330. So what if we form here a double bottom and we manage it? We need to identify risk. So there is liquidity sub 200, but it's mild. I think we might be seeing a setup here. We might be in front of a decent setup with a risk at 164, 128. Yeah, so in the highest level, well, this belongs to 2024. I hope we are not going there. But, say for 3 orders, you enter with something in here, and if we go to 330, so be it. If we need to go to 163, get your second order there and then exit at 330 or before, start trailing. And if we really have to be to 96, I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a chance, of course, and you need to manage that risk too. Right, let's go into the next coin, XRP, Ethereum. Right, the general in BTC TA is out. Need to watch both at the same time. I did a lot of good trades and hype. And yes, exactly, Mariano, as you just mentioned about BTC goes below 100k, it may be over for alts. Do we then wait to time the bottom to buy alts or DCA as it goes down? It's a tricky one, guys, because I read yesterday a comment in YouTube and someone was saying shorting alts is safer than shorting Bitcoin. Really? I completely disagree. Alts have a lot more volatility to the upside, to the downside as well. So whatever you do with an alt and with the same leverage that you would apply on Bitcoin is very dangerous. Answering your question, if we go low with Bitcoin, we need to keep in consideration 95, 85, and the 70s. Obviously, in a less probability the lower you go. But once we identify a bottom on Bitcoin, and once we see the alts, bleeding big, I need to do at that time, if we get there, a video that covers the funding rates across all altcoins to see that they are really, really hitting zero, which we just did, by the way. So that kind of eases the idea that we can do something that dramatic again to the alts. It doesn't cancel that fully, but it's less likely than before we got the 20 billion. After the 20 billion, we can do another one, but it's going to be a divergent. It's going to be one that liquidates 1 billion. That's it, not 20, because we already went all the spectrum to the downside. How much lower? We cannot go negative. And that leads me to believe that if there is a crash now, it could affect more Bitcoin than alts. Alts will go lower, but not as low as before. And considering that, we need to not time the bottom, but look for a bottom. So when we are at 95, we assess. When we are at 85, we assess whether we can go to 70. And once we assess, then we take some measured risk with alts if we were to be in that situation. Ethereum is looking like it's not going to hold the 4K because it already hinted with that on this candle, unless we move it like this. Yeah, still it's too far low. It's 3,980, and we start the week like this. And maybe I'm gonna get lucky, and maybe I'm gonna get my lower order fill as well on Ethereum. Remember, I put an order at 3.8, so I'm already breaking even. But if we can pinch again this and give me another opportunity, that will be fantastic. And Ethereum is also in an area similar to to AAVE very low, not the lowest. The lowest was June in 2022. So it hasn't taken down the bear market. For that, it needs to move another 12 points down. So I think this is an area of value for Ethereum. We need to be looking for longs, but of course, considering the range, considering the previous low, and considering that the bull flag in here, after it broke down on the week of the capitulation, it carried on going down. So it might have a little bit more downside to give. So I don't know how am I gonna place that, but it looks already like a breakdown to me. And what is the next support? Well, to put a new low at 34, let's look at liquidity with Ethereum. There you go. I did recently a video. You can watch the full length video for Ethereum. So I'm gonna focus just on what's different. So we got that liquidity. That's the area I'm targeting with Ethereum, but we need to build a decent position. There is an area to fill in here in case things fail. If we end up coming in here, I'm gonna manage to add to my long. If we break out straight away from here, which there is a chance because we have bullish divergences on the daily, and we already liquidated all the way to 34. There is liquidity in here. That's the risk of putting that low and looking for adding to Ethereum. This here is kind of the holocaust kind of level. We should not be looking into those until bear market. But if we go into 2000, yeah, that's gonna be really painful to average down, because entering at 3.8, then entering at 3, and then entering at 2000, and you're risking to really go to 1000. You're in the depths of the bear market and possibly already looking into holding another cycle then. But hopefully this is gonna hold around the 3.2. That's kind of the most likely level that we could go if we put a new low, assuming we put a new low. Now, the upside is becoming more and more crowded with those shorts. You can see that with this recent move into 3.8, more shorts added, and more shorts added from the move of Bitcoin into 114 and 112. Yeah, this is 12 and this is 14. And they added more to the shorts. So those guys could get decimated at some point. That's my opinion, okay? It's not a forecast. I will play towards that idea. Of course, trailing and risk managing. If we don't get there, so be it. But I need something to target to. And let's go with say. Yeah, this is a terrible breakout. So this one went nicer, right? So you break out and you put this high, you put 1, 2, 3 higher highs. Perfect. This one broke out in here on the global and it just puked down. It completely failed. You could argue that there was the actual equivalent one to this one is this smaller that did 1, 2, and 3. Fair enough, but it couldn't really achieve the revenge, which is 76. So from here, I am really not expecting to see that say can just go here and do a revenge. I will expect something diminished, something in halfway through, just because there's been underperformance, and maybe we can also use a line like that to measure when we do the layer 2 breakout from 51 to see how high we can get from there. But look for bottom informations around here on the weekly before deciding what are going to be the top expectations. Let's look at the price action. Just like many other coins, you had a double bottom, then some bearish thing going on there, and then the breakdown from 28. But on this coin, you tell me, how does it look this relative to my analysis of XRP, how to the chart of XRP or HBAR? You have lower highs, you have every single thing capitulates back to 22 cents to 14 cents. And also, this breakdown is not holding 22, it's not holding the neckline of 28, and it's actually heading towards the bottom of the double bottom. So relative to other coins, this is a bit of a disaster. It's gonna meet very soon with that line as well. It could reach 15, and I cannot really rule out a new low from there. Hopefully we're gonna get in time some bullishness for all, some relief after the 20 billion capitulation, and then we can see what we can do. But from here now we're gonna have to face 22 as resistance. We're gonna have to face 28 as big resistance, indeed the biggest ever. 29 cents for say is a nightmare, and it's the difference between being in the area of accumulation or breaking out. You can see the volume profile, the largest one is there, the point of control. We are in the bearish end, and we're gonna have to face that. On the positive flip, we are as low as this area 33 and as low as this area at 34. So if you overlap that with the price, those were the lows of that double bottom, and we are very close to that. So yeah, this could turn to be just another area of accumulation, as long as you don't break 12 and you don't start going for the recent low. And let's look at liquidity on SEI. And we got another question here. The White House apparently just tweeted that Trump will be making an announcement at 3. Maybe good time to wait to enter on any leverage trade. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm already waiting for a bit more understanding of what's going on with the CPI tomorrow. And it feels like both sides are being trapped at the moment. And I want a little bit more of clarity. I took 2 longs and I don't like insisting on the same trade. Already 2 from almost the same place is already against my rules. And a third one is forbidden for me. So I need to compromise something. Missing a trade or compromising the rules that are responsible for having a 100% win rate. And I think I'm going to lean for the second one, but you guys do whatever you have to do, right? Yeah, so we got plenty of liquidity here for SEI, and it starts, notice that I'm dropping this, okay? Originally, this looked like that. It's just I'm increasing it in some coins because I cannot see it. So this is normalizing it more intense. So we got 30 to 37 is the bucket at the moment of liquidity. And is that our ticket home? Let's see, where can we get with 37? 37 gets you to around the recent high in here. And the RSI, so can we do a reverse RSI to see what RSI is going to achieve that? So let's remove this. Let's just use the white one. If we go to to an RSI of 50, if we go to an RSI of 50, that reaches 26. So we need to get into an RSI of 60 to get to a price of 39. But I just want to get to 37. So let's continue reverse engineering this. 58? Yeah, roughly. If we get to an RSI of 58, we get to 37, which is where we liquidate all these people. And if we do that, if we use this fuel to get us as high as that, the RSI will put a layer 2 breakout above 50, because at that point, the RSI will be 58. So if we can close the weekly doing a 58 like this, a bit less like this, then you get a layer 2 global breakout that could call for additional upside. But we really need to meet those numbers. And hopefully the lack of longs is going to help holding now the price on SEI, because it's not really looking good, the overall picture. And last words about SEI, with this chart like this, be careful, because it doesn't look really that bullish. So adjust expectations accordingly. And let's go with Link. Okay, Link is still holding the neckline of the double bottom. So that relative to other coins is good. And we need to hold 17. Good news for me, because I'm holding Link. Could we do this breakout? Still not happening, but we have that line there that we are monitoring very close to the price. I suspect if we go beyond $20, we can get the breakout on the weekly there. Let me see, because what I really want is to get to 27 and complete this whole formation, the whole cap and handle, that if you cannot see is this. So if we can get to 28, that will be fantastic. But the first step to do that is to get this bad boy above 50 to conquer 20 cents. Probably it's around 21, somewhere around there. And then from there, with that breakout, use it to push towards the 28, thanks to that additional momentum, the breakout of momentum to go there. We are at very low levels of longs. We are starting with every low to bring a little bit more longs, just like this modus operandi here. Hopefully this can reach the highs of 60, bringing additional longs. The last time we did that was in 25th of August, and that reached the high of 28. So from here to there, we are in an area of value on Link. So I'm just going to continue holding. Not that I wouldn't do anything different if it was a bit more bearish, because my plan is if this gets really bearish, I'm just going to hold it another cycle, whatever. It's Link, it's okay. But if this pukes a bit lower, hopefully it holds the $13. I think there must be some risk around there, because this support, the green line on the bottom end that held there here, this is just a week, it doesn't count. But if this decides to have a bit more bearishness, your risk is 12.8 followed by 9.9. And in terms of liquidity, we can use this. All right, so my focus at the moment is on what are we forming on the daily here to see if we can get us back into 28. And we got maybe an inverse head and shoulders like this. Can we do something like that and get into the $21 and break the neckline like this and then get to 22? Well, there's no liquidity there, so that's the risk, right? So you achieve just the technical and then you don't have big fuel to continue into 28. That is a risk. Luckily it's increasing, so there are not big gaps in between. It's just a continuous of more and more. So what could happen is that we get into 22 and a lot of shorts pile up in here, and then we make it easier to get to 28. That will be kind of the way to get there if we want to consume some opium as well. Link, TAO. So it's almost time. And when it's almost time, I usually ask everybody to write down one coin in the comments. And the first person that writes down the comment with a coin, that one I'm gonna do on YouTube, and that I'm gonna do on Patreon. So you need to be quick. So Bittensor, we had a breakout from 52 in here, and it seems it's looking like a trap, a bull trap. It needs to hold 53 on the weekly basis. So this particular red engulfing candle is too extended to the downside at the moment. So hopefully before Sunday, it comes back, above $400, above 410, somewhere around there, just to help the momentum to pick up back up above 53, so the breakout is intact. Otherwise, it looks like a fake out, and it will be a shame because there's 3 green candles and then the red engulfing and the momentum broken. It's not nice. Extension of 1 is to get to 488, and we have already done that thanks to this week. There, we already hit that target. It's very disappointing target, but it's already achieved and it's already selling off. The golden pocket is 688, and then we also have this one, but I don't think it's valid because we have a new low. So I'm gonna remove this target, no longer valid, sorry. And we have in place the 686. Interestingly, Bittensor traders are very pushing here. They stay at 62. There hasn't been a major collapse of longs. There's still the support of 44. There was a breakout. It put a new higher high and a higher low on longs. So they're very bullish. Hopefully they're gonna manage to reclaim 53 to continue into 688 price. TAO, let's see. There's no TAO here. Very little liquidity. We reached 477. So all these longs already took the liquidity. So there was a lot of liquidity, but it got already taken, and it hit the extension of 1 Fibonacci from the very low. So, there is a risk that now they run out of incentive to carry on into 688. You need to measure that. And you have a level of liquidity at 307, another one at 284. That is your current risk for this to retrace and come back for that. On the upper end, there is 470 that is starting to build up, but not that big. And let's go with APT. There you go. And Lara's saying, people are asking for SUI. Wish I never got into SUI. When that happened, they stopped people from being able to sell and have not gotten back the break even since then. Oh, that's really annoying. And SUI, do we have SUI? Why you guys didn't vote for SUI? You're waiting for SUI. Okay, but I'm not sure I'm gonna manage to do that. But you voted for SUI as the last one, and we got TAO. We already did it. So I should probably do APT and SUI, and then we call it. APT is gonna be very quick, and APT already reached very close to that. It came back to support. It tends to find support between 38 and let's say 37, and we got lower highs, lower lows. We have some pattern like this, and we are closing below it. So we are putting a new closing price lower that is meeting with the previous support 3-1. What the hell is that bad with the APT? But it already puked here. It already took all the liquidity. There was no incentive to exit this thing, and it's still doing that. And it's being rejected by the biggest point of control of 5.3, around 5.5 to $5. That's the area most traded, and it should have held, but it's not. It's gonna turn into resistance very soon, and there's no way we can reclaim this because we already put a candle weekly close below there. So now 3.6 is also resistance. 3.6 to 3.8 is resistance, and hopefully we hold 3.1 because that is the kind of the last level that we have back in time as support. We could potentially put a bullish divergence on the other side on APT, and longs. That's crazy. Sometimes I find crazy that longs are still holding at 61. So there must be tons of longs that didn't get liquidated. How come is that? Well, maybe there's some nuance here with delta longs and shorts that's not tracking Binance, because if Binance went to 0.7, which is the all-time low, and you still have 60% of longs, I don't believe the indicator. That doesn't make sense. Let's go with this. Yeah, there's no liquidity in here. There is on the upper end at 5.5 to 5.7, and 5.557 is about the point of control. So there could be another rally in here back into this resistance. If you get to 5.7, you are slightly above it. So that is the hope for this to get a recovery and then meet again with the triangle, which is the question mark I left. Can we really go here when we face this resistance? That was the biggest question, because that level is big resistance all this time, and yeah, it's threw us back down. So hopefully this time we can reclaim it thanks to that liquidity there, which is is not a lot. If I put this normal, you're going to see that there is not a lot, way less than before. Not looking good for APT so far. And the last one I'm going to do is SUI. I'm sorry, Solana. You can watch the in-depth video I did, which is public, and I think I did this week. So I'm so glad I didn't touch SUI on the third wave. The first and the second is immaculate. The second one was early, telling us that something wasn't going to be the same, and that happened with this retracement. I remember saying that in June. After that, we accommodated expectations in a channel like this, and we were expecting to get to 64. And when I say that, I say like that's as high as we can get to adjust our expectations so they are not 81. That doesn't mean that this can break down the pattern and come back down. After all, the pattern was already pointing to something bearish because it's constraining and going to the upside, and it puked from this end. I didn't call it, but it's a bearish pattern. And after this breakout, breakout number one, breakout number two, the third couldn't happen, and we are putting a higher low so far, but we are speeding up in here. Every week is lower and lower, and we're gonna approach the 40. Then the support next is 35. That's the global support. Let's find 35 just to get an idea, rough idea of big pain. That is 168. Longs continue to go to new lows. So this breakout was short-lived. This is the first rally, second rally, and then this is the second rally. Look at the longs. They were so deflated, and they lost the support to 40, and next support is 22. I cannot map this to price. In terms of social, it's very quiet, so that's a good thing to maybe have some relief in here. Relief could be, going back into the same breakout that didn't happen. I will say a move like this into that, and then doing the breakout from lower instead of the one that we couldn't achieve from around here. That is 50. So we need to break above 50 RSI. Let's put that there to start believing, not to enter the trade. That point can be that is resistance. So don't long resistance. You need to be looking for weakness, for an area where people are panicking, and then you enter. So the range between 24 to 16 against the global support could be allowed to enter on a first order, and then from there to hope that once you approach the 50, that it breaks out and it doesn't get rejected to form another low. Right. Thanks so much, guys, for being part of this live stream. I hope you found answers to Lara say, no, this is not Lara. This is Tutu. He's saying you're totally right. This is a nightmare. So yeah, if you want to be part of this, next week we're gonna do another stream. But next week it could be or might not be. It depends totally on you guys. Your elite members and patron are gonna decide in a dedicated poll. I will send it to you. So you decide if you want to have next week PineScript workshop. We already have plenty and they're available publicly. You can watch them. There's a playlist on YouTube. You can watch them. So we don't need to do another workshop about the same topic. So if you want PineScript, it needs to be a new topic. Once we decide to go for PineScript, you need to decide what do you want me to teach you on PineScript, something new. Otherwise, we just go for another TA live session, elite private. We can just do the same as today. Thanks so much for watching. You want to be part of this? There is a link in the description, and there is a QR code appearing on the screen right now. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.